Hi everybody. I'm just doing a test of some screen capture software for other projects I'm looking at, and I thought I'd do a tutorial on how I convert color images to black and white in Lightroom, just illustrating my personal workflow for that process. So I'll open up Lightroom. This is the image I'm actually going to work with. This is Lightroom 5.4. This is being recorded on April 28th, 2014, so if you're watching this down the road, you might have a different version of Lightroom, but this is the one I'm using today. First thing I do when I convert a black and white image, or the first thing I do actually when I import any images into Lightroom, is I adjust the white balance. Sometimes I have to do that on an individual basis or in groups, depending on the lighting conditions. In this instance, for this particular incident, which was a recent motor vehicle accident that ended up as a car fire, the lighting was pretty much the same throughout all of the images, so I just did a batch adjustment of the white balance for all of the images at the same time, so that's already been done. This is the image I'm going to try converting to black and white to see how it looks. First thing I do is I create a virtual copy of the image and I work with the virtual copy. That way I know I have the original one in color before I did anything to it, and I can kind of contrast and compare the end results if I want to. So to create a virtual copy, right click, go up to create virtual copy, do that, and you're going to see it pop up down here. Here's the virtual copy. This is one of two of two. My own personal way I do it is I work with the virtual copy itself. I work with the second image and convert that to black and white. I don't think it makes a difference, to be honest with you. Just adjust the develop module. So I'm in the develop module now. Second thing I do is I crop the image before I convert it to black and white. I want to see what I'm going to be working with. In this particular instance, obviously I don't crop every image, but this one has a lot of dead space up here, and I want to bring the focus of the image kind of in a little bit. So do that, and we'll bring this side in a little bit also. And your preview image is up here in the top left. Gives you an idea what it's going to look like after the fact. So I like that. We'll double click on it. Locks in the crop. Generally speaking, the develop module works starting top to bottom. That's the way most people's workflow goes. I don't know if that sounds right, but anyways, you want to work top to bottom. So I did the crop. I am going to jump down though to black and white. I want to convert that now. So click on black and white here in the bottom right hand corner, and you've got your black and white image kind of flat. It's very gray to begin with. Over on the left hand side in the presets section, there are several presets that Lightroom provides that you can use as a starting point if you so choose. Some black and white filtering, color filters rather, within black and white, and then some presets down here. In that top left preview window, again, as you roll over, each one does change so you can get an idea what it looks like. I have used that before, but generally speaking I just do it on my own. So I can control it. You can use that as a starting point again and then adjust it from there. You're not locked into exactly the way it looks. You can adjust the image. Going back over to the right, this image, it's a little on the dark side, so I'm going to start with the exposure, working top to bottom, and bring that up just a little bit. It's a little bit better. It doesn't blow out the fire, and we can adjust that with some of these other settings and sliders. Contrast, I don't generally use. I almost never use it. You can do a lot of contrast work with the black slider down here, and clarity will give you a little bit. Even the whites will give you some adjustments within the contrast of the image. So if you use the contrast slider, it tends to do too much at once. There's more finite control with some of these other sliders down here. So skipping over contrast, I go to highlights. Highlights, let's zoom in here. This is where your brightest spots is in the image right now. Is obviously where the flame is. So we'll watch the highlight slider. You lose some detail, you bring it up, and this is a nice, again, finite control of your highlights. If you go too far, it kind of grays things out. Good balance right about there. Shadows, moving back out again. Some of the shadow spots here I do, and even in the turnout gear, I want to give that a little bit more detail, so I'll move the shadow slider to the right, which will lighten up some of the shadows a little bit. Sometimes too much, and you may have to bounce back and forth to get things adjusted the way you want them. The white slider, again, watching the fire where your brightest whites are. If I bring that all the way to the right, it's going to blow it out. All the way to the left, it kind of grays it out. You want to find a happy medium, and that's actually going to be, in this case, close to 0, probably about -10 works for me. Blacks are where you're going to bring in or tone down some of these shadows. And dark, actually, I should say you're going to darken them in a little bit. So moving the slider to the left will darken them up, and that's where you're going to get your contrast. You can see that the image is getting more contrasting. Go all the way to the left, gets a little ridiculous. Bring it back to 0 again, and then work back to the left again. Sliding it left. It's pretty good right there. And again, might have to go back up with your shadows and bring a little more out. And that's pretty good. Again, looking for blacks like here in the shadow underneath the rim of his helmet, down here in the shadows under the vehicle, and even some of the dark spots in the texture on the tree. Some good blacks there, and obviously nice whites here with plenty of grays in between. The clarity slider, you can overdo this, sliding it to the right. So, some people like it, some people don't. It's just a personal thing. If you blow it way over to the right, it kind of looks like an HDR image, which can be cool, and with some images that works. It just on this one, I think it's a little too much. So again, going back to 0, move it a little bit to the right. Even that's too much. I think probably half of that, so right around 10 or 12. We'll put it at 10. It's pretty good. It pops some of the detail, some of the edges pop a little bit with that. Sliding down in the develop module, tone curve I don't use, and it's mainly because I'm ignorant about it. The color sliders here work a lot like these color filters over here, and you can get a preview of what adjustments might look like. You can play with those in black and white, and it will on occasion save an image or really pop some stuff that you're trying to highlight. This one is fine. I don't think it really needs any. Split toning, again, I'm ignorant to that. I don't really use it. I would probably benefit from it if I knew what it did, but we'll learn that down the road. Moving down, we're into the detail section of the module. First thing you're going to do is sharpen. You want your preview window to be over the area that you feel is most critical for sharpness. In this instance, and in most instances where there's going to be a face in the image, that's where your focus is, and that's where you want your sharpness. You want to examine your sharpness at that point. So I'm going to put it on firefighter's face. Excuse me, the lieutenant's face. I don't want to get yelled at. And the sharpening slider, just to back up a little bit, I shoot everything in RAW. So what comes out of the camera has no adjustments done to it in camera. There's no sharpening, there's no color balancing, nothing. I do everything in post. So there's no sharpening applied. This image to begin with is fairly sharp, but it can always benefit from a little bit of sharpening. For me, I generally start at 70 and go from there. Looking here, that's pretty good. The edges are nice and sharp. There's some good clarity in here, but I don't want to go too much farther than that because it can start to look fake. It just looks unrealistic. So that's pretty much where I go. I go to 70 and I'll adjust from there. I think this one looks fine. Moving down to noise reduction, the luminance slider adjusts the noise within the image. Black and white in particular, color is one thing. You can apply some luminance to it to back off on noise in the image. Black and white, you want noise. It just, if you smooth it out too much and lose the noise in it and make it too crisp, it loses some of its realism. It loses a lot of its drama, and that's the beauty of black and white, is there's some drama to it. I think it's just the way our brains work with black and white images. You're looking for drama, and to make it that smooth, it ruins something. So this image, this particular photo was shot at ISO 1600. Even on this camera, it's pretty good, but it does introduce some noise, and I can see that. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but there is some noise here in the shadows. It's just enough. It's not too much, so I'm not even going to bother adjusting that. The last thing I'll do, and I don't do it on every image, lens correction I don't get into, it's fine on this image, there's really no need to correct any aberrations in the image, or in the lens. The last thing I'll do on some images, not all, is I'll add a little bit of post-crop vignetting. It kind of darkens up the edges a little bit, and what it does do on some images, it helps bring the viewer's focus into the image a little bit. And again, for black and white, it does add a little bit of drama. I'll show it can be overdone though. We'll take the slider here and we'll move it all the way over to the left, and it's like a pinhole camera effect. Looks crappy. So bring it back to 0 and just bring in a little bit. That's actually too much even. Maybe right around 8 to 10. 10's good. It kind of darkens it up a little bit, does bring a little bit of focus to the center of the image. Sometimes you'll find when you do a little bit of, add a little bit of vignetting, you'll have to go back and lighten the image a little bit. It will darken it too much, so you can go back up to your exposure slider and maybe play with some of these other ones again. That's actually not too bad. I want a darker image. It was kind of a gray day. It was kind of dark to begin with. I'm not really going to lighten this up too much. I think I'm going to leave it right there. I'll just take a look at it with a little bit of lightening. That's actually not bad. It does introduce a little bit of gray. That's good. We'll leave it right there. I'll compromise. And that's basically it. That's my workflow for black and white. I don't think I missed anything. I welcome obviously comments. Again, it's the first time I've done a tutorial, first time I've used screen capture software, and I have some ideas for some future projects. But I would appreciate it if you have any comments. Please leave them below, positive or negative, thumbs up, thumbs down. I always appreciate it. That's that. If you have any other ideas or requests for other videos, I'd be happy to do them. Last thing I'll leave you with is just be safe out there. All right?